Hey guys, I'm here with Michelle Wilson, an ENFP. Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Michelle. As she said, I'm an ENFP. I feel like, this is going to be a fun conversation, so stick around because we're not going to let it stay superficial. I can just tell you that right now. So
We're not going to be some fake ass bitches.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I have to say. So
that's
far.
all you have to say. Okay.
I'm going to get long-winded, so don't give me free reign yet. It'll just turn into me talking the whole time.
Okay. Well, speaking of, we're not gonna talk about this right now, or at least I think I want to wait a little bit longer. But before, literally right before we started this broadcast, Michelle was telling me about this new show that she's been watching on Netflix, and it sounds so interesting. So we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, it's really cool, and I really wanna kind of dive into not even just the show, but just that idea. It's called the Top 3%. You said
it's called the 3%. Yeah,
the 3%, okay.
Or it might even just be 3%. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, let us know if you guys have watched that show because it sounds interesting. But anyways, I'll just start off with asking you, for those of you, and again, Michelle has a YouTube channel. I put it in the link in this description. So you guys should definitely check her channel out. So for those people that maybe haven't watched your channel or maybe don't really know too much about you, would you like to talk about how you got into MBTI and how you found out you were an ENFP?
Oh, wow. Loaded question. Okay, so I first found out about MBTI from, ironically, an INFJ, because you know how they are. They're like, I need to know.
Test.
Yeah, I was in college. It was my first semester, and this guy was like, take this test. And then, of course, I made all my friends take the test and found out that my two closest friends were an ENFP and INFP, but we'll get into that. But anyway, at that time, I took the Myers-Briggs Test. It's like the human metrics version, which I think is one of the more accurate ones, like having taken many at this point. But yeah, so I took the test, found out I was an ENFP. But what was weird is my results were really midway. I was never more than 60% into whatever side I was, but I was just barely, I guess, an ENFP. And I always, when I was younger, considered myself balanced between right and left brain and whatnot. So I read the description from it's personality profile something. Have you guys ever used that? It's I don't know. It's they have a huge giant description that tells you oh, you're a primary source of, being in the world is external, and then your secondary is internal, and then it goes into this huge what ENFPs are like, and then it was you guys can be really manipulative, and I was like, I'm not manipulative.
That's what a manipulative person would say. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so then I read that and I was like, this is everything my life has been leading up to is this point right now. I am totally an ENFP. And then, yeah, I got more into it. And I would say it was always the first thing I would talk about with people since that day. I'd be like, what's your type? Oh, it might not be right. Read these. And then when I learned about the cognitive functions, which was probably 2 to 3 years later, then I was like, I'm 100% an ENFP. No doubt.
Yeah, studying the cognitive functions always makes I feel like that just makes you more confident in understanding what your type is. And really, it's a journey. I think not everybody types as their type at first. I typed as an ENFJ at first. And you really have to study the cognitive functions to, like you said, feel 100% right. Like, I feel like I'm a 99.99999%. That's how I feel that I think I'm an INFJ. I don't know 100% because I just think there's always maybe this little small percentage, but everything so far leads me to INFJ just from stuff. So I think I feel like that can be similar for other people as well. So I think we're similar in the sense that we both kind of try to ask people what their personality types are when we first meet them and stuff. I've noticed that also with some of my ENFP friends in real life. How would you say that your interaction has changed with people after you've understood personality types?
I think it's done nothing but improve my ability to communicate with people, especially sensor types, because when I was in high school, I never understood why people didn't like me and why people thought I was just too much to be around. I thought I was just ADHD and just crazy and had too many fingers in too many buckets, so to speak. And also I realized that I used to especially speak very abstractly and without any grounding into reality, which was a real problem. And learning people's types has helped me to be more descriptive about things and have more examples to go along with what I've said and adjust my conversation to the people that I'm speaking to. Not so much that I get rid of myself, but just that small adaptation to the conversation can make a huge difference in how receptive they are to you. So I found it most beneficial to conversations and making it easier to communicate with people. Especially the TI and FE difference that I also never understood. I'm what is this? You need me to just break down every single piece of my argument? Man, I haven't thought it that far through. So it's helped me develop that as well. How did I come to this conclusion? I can't just just have these judgments and then think people are going to understand how I got to it. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I can definitely see that with certain personality types. I've definitely I feel like I understand FI a lot better because when I was younger, I didn't realize this about my mom until more recently that she's lead FI. But with my sister, I do believe my sister's an ISTJ, but whatever case, she's definitely on the FITE axis, and so is my mom. So with my sister especially, I just felt like she was very selfish, and I realized that a lot of that had to do with how she valued things, and it wasn't really that. I mean, she was selfish in a lot of ways, and not in oh, my sister's selfish. But I mean, my sister will tell you she was very selfish when she was younger, but as she got older and she kind of transformed, I also realized that a lot of it had to do with introverted feeling. And I just didn't understand that because I was I don't know. It was just very different than how my mind is. And even the people that I was friends with early on in high school and before that were introverted feelers, I didn't always feel like they were so selfish, but I always admired them, and I admired the selfishness, but I also admired the individual. I can't speak, but you know what I'm saying. So it was interesting to actually be able to pick it apart and realize that that's something that they value, and I can be good at introverted feeling, but I just don't value it. So
yeah, I feel the same way about FE. Like, it's something that I have chosen to value, like as I have gotten older and realized why I never understood. And I feel like I never understood females especially, and I don't know if this is because more females tend to be FE or if it's just like they're better at FE because that's what like society kind of tells us to do, is be more FE. But like, oh, yeah, it's just, you like, for me, how I would show affection, for example, is by just giving someone my time and my full attention right there in the moment. Whereas for a lot of people, that doesn't really mean anything if I'm not like comforting their emotions and there for them when they need X, Y, and Z. And that's just like, I almost thought I was like autistic for a while because like I couldn't do that. But
well, okay. There's nothing wrong with being autistic. I actually thought that as well about myself. Like, am I on the spectrum? Because I do have actually a lot of friends that are on the spectrum. Well, not a lot. I always say a lot, or like I always say I have a lot of INTJ friends. I have a lot. I really just have. It's really not a lot, but like to me, it's a lot. But yeah, I don't know why, but
okay.
But anyway, there's nothing wrong with that, even if you are like, I don't know. But
yeah, I'm gonna call something out though that I think is definitely an NI thing that you won't catch. Well, you could catch an NE person doing this, but it is definitely that like always never kind of statements. Like NI tends to be so much more collective with their like observations that they're like, this always happens or this never happens. And I think like when you get in that NITI loop, if it gets negative, all you can see is how everything is always wrong and it's always been wrong and it's always going to be wrong. And well, maybe it's just more future oriented because it's NI, but I definitely noticed that you guys have like a propensity for the word always.
that's interesting. That is interesting. I feel like that might be, maybe we do that. Yeah, that is interesting. So oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say my boyfriend's an INFJ, so I get to observe the behavior up close and personal.
Oh, I wanted to ask you, how is it dating an INFJ, like from your experience?
Okay, so one, it's like the best combination ever because we really just like are yin and yang to each other. We balance each other out in so many ways. Like where I would be completely naive in situations and completely unaware of how people are taking advantage of me, he could be like, yo, have some skepticism here for a second. Like people aren't all sunshine and daisies. And then like oppositely, I'd be like, yo, stop just assuming everybody's terrible. Like let's like have a little hope and faith and like let's be sunflowers. Definitely when it comes to arguing though, there can be some clashes. Like I definitely am a kind of person who needs to talk my feelings out and my ideas out in order to understand them. Like I think that's a symptom, I guess, of TE, is you need to externalize what's going on in your mind in order to fully understand it, and you don't really know what you feel until you've you think until you've externalized it. And he's exactly the opposite. And sometimes he'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. I can't listen to this anymore. So it's great. We really help each other grow in a lot of really nice ways.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that reminds me, like my friend Anna, I don't know if Anna's watching this, but like she's been on my channel. She's an ENFP. I definitely want to do videos with her, but it sounds like kind of like our relationship. Whenever we're out somewhere, I'm like, because Anna's a really pretty girl, and like obviously guys are interested in her, and I'm like, Anna, Like, she's like, I remember she was gonna wear this one outfit, and I'm like, Anna, if you don't want guys to come up to you, do not wear this outfit, because guys are gonna come up and they're gonna be like, hey girl, like, you know, and like, I don't know. And then whenever she gets upset, I found this out as well, is like, she has to talk to someone about it, or she doesn't like feel like we, you know, care. And I'm not the same way. Like, I like to be alone, or I like to think about it myself. And but like with her, it's like I have to talk it through with her and stuff. And I mean, sometimes I actually talk with her about, like, you know, my issues as well. But yeah, it's interesting how the difference. But I feel like they do complement each other really well. So.
Yeah, and I think what you were just saying brings up a really good point about the difference between FI and FE. And I was talking to my little sister about this, and she's an INFP, so she's strong FI. We need to be able to understand what's going on, and we want other people to understand our feelings and to, like, you know, essentially feel what we feel. And I think an FE person is much more like, I don't need to understand what I'm feeling. I need to get past what I'm feeling. I need to, you know, feel it and get through it. Like, I don't want to like figure out why it's happening or where it's coming from. Like, that doesn't matter. Like,
I think you're right to an extent, but I feel like, yeah, no, I think you are right for the most part. But I think ENFPs, INFPs, people that have introverted feeling, you guys are, even though you have to like talk out your emotions and stuff when it comes to, well, for you, for example, as an ENFP, when it comes to, if you're upset about something, you guys kind of, even though you're talking them out, I feel like you still understand your emotions a lot more. And I mean, because you're telling people you want them to know. With extroverted feelers, I think we just really don't understand our emotions very well, actually. Even high extroverted feeling, it's something that obviously we also have we're pretty good at introverted feeling as well, but it's like we don't value it as much. So it's hard for us to connect with our own emotions. And we just need time to like really even, because the thing is, I think it's not that we don't care about like what our emotions are, we just don't know. So like when we're talking, if I was upset about something, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how I was feeling, like specifically. And like, I mean, I may be able to say something, but it would have to take me a while to really realize how I felt. I don't know if that makes sense.
yeah, and I'm almost wondering, like, this is just an idea that popped up. Like, how much of it is that we actually know what we're feeling, or that we've taken the time every time to try to figure it out. And because we've put in the effort to figure it out, that's why we can more easily understand it and then communicate it. Maybe. Because maybe that all stems from wanting to communicate what we're feeling and express it. I don't know.
I think you're right. I think you are right. I think really, yeah, I think it's not really for extrovert feelers. I don't think we really it's not that we don't value our emotions. It's like we just don't maybe want to talk about it because we're more about harmony. And with extrovert feeling, we don't really want other people, if we do know about our emotions, it's like we don't really want, that's not really something we want to talk about. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like once we figure it out. I don't know. I mean, that could be off base. I don't know. But so we talked about how you found out that you were an ENFP, and how you ended up using that knowledge and understanding people and stuff. Kind of going back to I always ask this, but I just find it very interesting, is how were you when you were younger, and as you got older, how do you think you evolved, or what are some things that you remember about yourself?
So if you guys want to hear more about this, like very specifically just my early childhood, I did put out a video pretty recently about that. But to kind of summarize what I was like as a child is I was always trying to, more so than anything, find underdogs and get to know them because I felt like an underdog and I wanted someone who could understand me. Also, because I didn't have like a very difficult time making friends with females, like just very difficult time. And also just a difficult time with making friends in my own age group because I always felt like they were really immature. They didn't ever really want to talk about interesting subjects. They just like whatever. And like I wanted to be part of them because I felt like, you know, everyone says that's important, so I want to be part of them. But I never really was like, well, you guys can watch, well, whatever, I'll just share like this embarrassing story. So this used to be so embarrassing, I wouldn't tell anybody about it, but now I kind of own it. When I was in 3rd grade, I moved from one state to another, and you know, a couple weeks go by, I got a crush on a boy. I was like, oh, he's pretty cute, he's pretty cool, he's smart, I want to like get to know him and blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting at lunch with this girl, and we're talking about all these things we have in common. We both like to sing, we both like to draw, like all these things. And then she's like, so do you have a crush on anybody? And I straight up was just like, yeah, like I think this guy's kind of cute. And she's like, oh my God, me too. And I was like, oh, we have so much in common. This is the coolest thing ever. Like, wow. And then we go back to the classroom, and the teacher goes to the bathroom and leaves us all alone for like 5 minutes. And this girl gets up in front of the whole class and just tells the whole class that I have a crush on this guy. And like I had just moved there 2 weeks ago. I was already like the odd man out. It was already the middle of the school year. And yeah, that's just.
I feel you because I have been in that situation. I have been in that situation before too. That's so, I mean, that just is so insecure. And like, there's still people that are like that when you get older. Like I knew this one girl in college. I've actually talked about her on my channel. It was like, she's an INTJ, and we were friends, but I don't think she ever really regarded me as a friend. It was one of those things where I also, when I first met her, it was almost like she didn't, like, I just knew that there was something that she didn't like about me, just from the start, like basically when we met. And she, like pretty early on, because I was really involved in college and we were actually leading the same club. I got her involved in Model UN as well. And she, like, there was this one guy that I knew from my church. This, like, I would go to the Catholic Center at my university, and there's this guy that, like, I had talked to and, like, kind of recruited for Model UN, and I had a crush on him. And I remember telling this girl that I liked him basically when, you know, one of the first days of knowing her. And she's like, oh, cool. Like, you know, and then later on that day, I forget exactly what happened, but I remember he was like around. I don't know if he liked me as well. But it was like just a few of us, like her, me, him, and this, actually maybe Anna was there, and maybe my sister as well. But anyways, she ended up, like, during like the meeting, or like she like sat by him and like was like talking to him, and like, I mean, I don't think she was like, oh, Emily likes you and stuff, but it was like she was like flirting with him, and I'm like, girl. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, people like that were like, the ones that I always like had such a huge disdain for. Like I've known many people like that are like, oh, you like someone, and then they immediately just like go and just flirt with them and be all like touchy and stuff, like just to prove that they're like more, I don't even know what it is. They're more desirable, or they're more prominent with that. Even just, it's like they're proving something to themselves. I feel like it's an insecurity. Like they might not feel like they're as good as you, so they have to prove that they are better than you. I don't know.
No, I think that's true. But continue on with your childhood. I interrupted you.
No worries. So, yeah, I mean, I was always kind of weird. I had trouble making friends with girls, and I liked my friends' parents more than I liked my friends for the most part. I was always trying to talk to adults. Like it was kind of weird. Like, like here's this like 7-year-old who won't talk to people her own age and only talks to like the adults. And I was teachers throughout all of my schooling. I bet you guys didn't see that one coming. Yeah. Oh, I was also like a know-it-all. Like I was the Hermione Granger in school. Like I was the person always raising my hand, like always knew the answer. Best subjects were actually like math and English and literature. Those were like my favorite classes. I even just, I have like a small collection of memorabilia, and I have this one thing I was just looking at before we started as kind of like a reminder. Actually, I'm just going to pull it out because I don't remember exactly what it says.
Ooh, cool.
So I had to do this like this newsletter about my life. And in 5th grade, I said that my favorite song is What a Girl Wants.
Oh my gosh.
My favorite school activity is math. And when I grow up, I want to be a scientist or a singer. Oh, and
Wow.
my preferred nickname. You can guess. What do you think I would say is my preferred nickname?
I don't know. Is it not even like a nickname?
It's not it's Sunshine.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
If that isn't like stereotypical, I don't know what is.
If I was to say what my preferred nickname was, I would probably say Emily. No, I actually went by Emma. Fun fact, I went by Emma for a whole year in high school. So there's some people that know me as Emma.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah.
Fun fact, if we're talking about that, my name is actually Heather Michelle, but I've always wanted to go by Michelle. I've known that since I was pretty young. 3rd grade, I had an opportunity to, but I didn't. And then in 7th grade, it was like the middle, like the school year just began. And I just started telling everybody, I was like, fine, screw it. I'm Michelle, and that's what I want to go by, and ain't nobody gonna stop me. And I've been Michelle ever since. Except at work, people still call me Heather, and I'm like, you guys know the only person in my life who calls me Heather is my mom. Please stop.
That's funny, because like, I don't think my stepsister is an ENFP. I think my stepsister might be, if she may be an ENFP, but I have a suspicion that she's ESFP. But my stepsister has it's weird. She has a very similar mouth and chin to you. And this is a compliment. Like, okay. like, I mean, she's really, and my stepsister, anybody that knows Heather, she is gorgeous. But like there's similarities that I see in your face. But her name's Heather as well. So it's interesting.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Ooh. Fun other fact about Heather. I was born on Heather Drive. No, my dad did not name me after the street we lived on. It's just a coincidence.
Well, that's funny. I feel like that's so weird because fun fact about my name, I think I said it, and I have like a 50 facts about me that I did like a earlier on in my channel. I'm pretty sure I said this in that, but when I was born, it was like tropical, the headline the day I was born was Tropical Storm Emily hit. And my parents
so perfect.
me. Yeah, I know. Because I was born in Florida, and yeah, and I also was the only baby born in that hospital on that day.
That's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, it was really weird. So there's nobody else in the world that was born in Bradenton, Florida, at Blake Hospital. I think it was St. Blake Hospital on July 24th, 1993. So.
Oh my gosh. Our birthdays are like a month apart.
Really? Wait, when's your birthday?
August 30th.
Whoa.
What?
Wait, are you also born in 1993?
Yeah.
What? This is crazy. Woo! This is really crazy.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's
my
crazy.
Sister was also born in 1993.
Ooh, the Heather.
Yeah, Heather. You guys should start the Heathers. I should get another Heather, and then you guys can remake that movie.
That's okay.
I'm just joking.
That's all right.
I'm just kidding. I actually have not watched that. I've only watched like the beginning, and I couldn't watch it.
I don't blame you. Winona Ryder's great, so for that, like, it makes the whole movie worth being watched. But the Heathers are just the most annoying people in the world, and it's a terrible association to my name. Something I wish I could forget exists.
Yeah. Well, it's also weird because like people it's really weird because like YouTube, I don't know if you've seen this, but like people think I look like Winona Ryder on this channel specifically, but I never get that in real life, like, which is really weird. Like, I've never gotten Winona Ryder until like YouTube. Just strange, but yeah, that's beside the point. So keep on going.
Maybe it's the lighting.
Maybe. I don't know. But continue on with your life story.
Oh,
or like
okay.
your childhood and teenagehood and stuff.
Okay. So we went up through me being a teacher's pet, which, you know, what can I say? I liked adults better. Anyway, I guess like depressive stage in like middle school, like my parents broke up and moved apart from each other. I moved to this terrible city in the middle of Kansas called Topeka. Guys, I'm sorry if you live there. Don't ever go there.
I feel like I've driven through it.
Yeah, you probably saw it as a blip past your window as you were driving down I-70. But yeah, I mean, that was an interesting time for me because at the school that I went to in South Carolina, which is where I lived before, they had the ability to take high school classes. So in 7th grade, I took algebra, which was like my favorite class. I loved my teacher. Algebra was just like the coolest math to me. I just loved everything about algebra. It's very like visual to me, and just, I don't know, it was a lot of fun, and I did mathletes and stuff. Yeah, I was a nerd. And then I moved to Kansas, and at that school, they did not offer any kind of high school classes in the school, and they didn't even offer algebra in the middle school. So not only had I just finished Algebra 1, but they were like, you have to go back to pre-algebra. You're welcome. And I was like, no, I am not going to do that. I need to take the high school classes because that's what I was going to do before I moved. And I'm not like, I'm not losing that opportunity. So the counselor tried to convince us otherwise. He was like, why don't you just take the easy A? And I was like, excuse me?
Why would I do such a thing?
Yeah. But I had to, so I had to travel to the high school, and I tried to go to the high school that was in like near my house, but they wouldn't let me. So that I had to go to a different high school, which I never ended up going to for the rest of my high school years. So it was kind of like really sad to like get to know anyone there. It made me not want to get to know anybody there. But I had to take 2 classes because they did like a block schedule. So I took biology with geometry. So I took freshman biology, which was cool. We got to dissect some stuff, which was pretty cool. But science is not my forte, especially biology. And history is not my forte. And here's why. Because it was all about memorizing facts. And I was terrible at memorizing facts that I had no like care for. But I could do things that were fun, which was like math. And eventually I took chemistry in freshman year, and that was so much fun because it's like all math. Chemistry is math, guys. And so is physics. They're the best sciences. I'm just saying. I mean, biology is cool. I'm sorry.
I like biology. I like biology, and I like microbiology, girl. Get away, fake bitch. Just kidding. No, chemistry is great. Physics is great. Go ahead.
But I did really like world history, especially I think it was 6th grade that we had world history. And we learned about world religions, and that was like so mind-opening to me because I grew up Christian. You know, I always went to church, went to Sunday school, went to Wednesday church, you know, went to Friday church, like church, went to Sunday night church, like went to church like 5 times a week. Anyway, that's when I started realizing that like all religions are saying the exact same thing. They're saying, be good people, and here's how to do it. And, you know, there's potentially this higher power that's kind of like directing us. They were all saying the exact same thing. They all did it in different ways. I know that my favorite in 6th grade when we were studying was Buddhism. And I kind of got into that for a little while. I don't know if I would even say at this point I'm really religious at all anymore. But I do believe in like, I am a pretty like spiritual person, I guess. But yeah, high school, in my high school English class, 10th grade, we had to choose a word for each person in the class. We sat around in a circle, and we gave a word for each person in the class, and we had to write an essay about it. I got opinionated.
That's what my friend Rachel says to me too. But yeah, go.
So
funny.
That was pretty great. I was really into choir too. I kind of mentioned that during Stephanie's thing because we were talking about music, which was a really cool conversation. If you guys haven't watched that, go ahead and watch it, though I see a lot of people who were there that day. But I took choir in freshman year, and then I decided I need to be a madrigal, which is basically like they sing Renaissance a cappella music. And I didn't get in sophomore year. Actually, the only 2 sophomores who made it were they both had private lessons, and I did not. And I think that's really what pushed them over the edge because they had like the theory and the ability to read music, which I didn't. I had to learn all on my own. But I did make it in the next year. And actually, normally he had the same number of people for each group. So like 4 baritones, 4 sopranos, 4 bass, 4 tenor, but he put me in the group that had an extra person. I don't know why that year he just decided there's going to be 6 altos instead of 5 altos. But I really love music. And then like my whole life, I was like, I'm going to be an English teacher in Japan or Germany or somewhere cool, somewhere outside of America. And in my senior year of high school, I freaking changed my mind. And I was like, I'm going to be a music teacher. And then I moved to South Carolina, went to school for a semester, guys, and went into the largest debt of my entire life that I'm still carrying to this day for a single semester.
Wait,
guys.
where did you go?
Like, Furman University.
Oh, that's so close.
It's expensive too.
That's like so close to me. That's like so close.
I used to live in Greer.
In Greenville. Wow.
When I was in 4th through 7th grade, I lived in Greenville.
Wow.
And that's kind of why I wanted to go to Furman. And my mom went to Furman, and I was like, Furman's where the cool people, and their colors are purple and silver, come on, the best color combination. But yeah, I am not supposed to be a music teacher. It was a sad realization that I made, but that is not my calling. I took that as a serious, like, that I shouldn't have changed my decision right before going to college and making all my judgments based off this one single decision that I made. But I was like so thoroughly convinced, you know, like how you can convince yourself. I'm not really talking about functions, but I guess you guys can probably see like my FI and NE. Yeah, after I got out of that semester and was in a bunch of debt, I started trying to make YouTube videos, but I was never confident enough to post them, and they were all just me singing, and I just like judged how badly I was singing. I was like, there's so many people better than me, like why should I post my music? And then I never did. And I was also really depressed. That was probably like when I was the most depressed in my life, was that like 6 months. Then I started working at McDonald's. That's where my life led me to. I was like, I'm never going to have like a job like McDonald's in my entire life. Worked at McDonald's. And then I worked at Office Depot in the copy and print center, which was a lot of fun because I got to design people's logos and business cards and help people with stuff like that. And then I worked at Starbucks, so we have that in common too. I worked at Starbucks for like a year and a half. And then I worked at a hotel, which was all right. I was like way too efficient at my work, and so I just sat there like 9 hours out of the day just playing Candy Crush on Facebook. Yeah. Then I got a cool job at a Waffle House, which was a lot of fun, where that's where I really developed, I think, like my spirituality and I came into my own at that job, I think, more so than any other job. I stopped being so hard on myself, and I just like enjoyed the process of living. And I think that it's really important that I had that job.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that Waffle House? By the way, for those of you that have never been to Waffle House and you don't live in the Southeast or wherever Waffle Houses are, it's a pretty, you have to go there. You have to go there in the middle of the night too. Like, it's something you have to do.
That was a tradition at Furman. Like, everybody went to Waffle House, especially like at midnight, and you're just like, why? But yeah, I worked at it was like a self-owned, like a small business. Like, it was owned by this guy whose last name was Power, no lie, and then an Australian. And just like their whole story of how their business started was very like the secret, very like manifestation. And it was really, really impactful. And their whole business model was not, just get everything done as fast as possible. It was like, get to know your customers, have good conversations, enjoy yourself. Good customer service comes from getting to know your customers and stuff like that. So it was just like where I could really be myself and get to know people and enjoy just the process of getting to know people and realize that I'm good at that, and that I like doing that. And I just gained a lot of self-confidence because I was like really good in any position there, like front of house, back of house. It didn't matter. Like, I did it all really well, and that just like helped boost my confidence even more. Side note, my sister tried working there, and my boss sat me down like 2 months after she started working there, and he's like, Michelle, I fired your sister. And I was like, well, thank you for telling me. Why? I didn't stand, but like, I guess I had idealized my sister as being like better than she was, which, it's pretty easy for us to do.
It cut off on my end. I didn't hear what you said before that.
From where? I'm sorry.
You said, and then you said why, and I don't know if you said something between that.
Not anything of consequence.
Oh, okay. So that is funny. But actually, MBTI guy said Awful House. You mean Awful House, and little boy. Well, you're not little, and you're a man. But Waffle House is a gym, and you guys should definitely go there. Like, I mean, it's not. I would definitely not say it's the best food ever, but it's an experience, and I think it is fun to go. Like, if we ever did like a meetup, in the Southeast, like where we just like met up with a ton of people. Well, not a ton of people, because that would be really
Waffle House is small.
Yeah, it would be a lot at Waffle House. But like, let's say like, you know, maybe up to like 8 people, but even at that, that's a lot. Maybe 6. I don't know. Whatever. It would still be really fun to go to Waffle House in the middle of the night, like, and just experience that, because you see a lot of different people. I bet you have some interesting stories.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Actually, one guy who came into the store ended up being a character in my story. He just went on and on about just how places he was pretty racist, and he was pretty about it. Racist towards like African Americans or anything like that. He was racist towards Jews, and it was pretty bad.
Wow.
And he was just this like old white guy, and I was just like, why? But yeah, I think Waffle House would be a fun experience.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to do other things before that, but like, you know, just like, because I feel like if a lot of us got together, especially the people that are in the comments right now or like the chat, I feel like if we got together, it would be a lot of talking. So we would want to do stuff that would be kind of, I don't know, it would be fun to do new things for people that are extroverted intuitors, or people that are extroverted sensors. Well, actually, I mean, really anybody, but so like be in different locations, but also be talking and like, I don't know, and doing some fun stuff. I think it would be really cool. And I would love to do that one day.
Me too.
Okay. Do you have any other really, like, do you have any stories about Waffle House besides the racist guy?
Off the top of my head, no, because I mean, really, it was much more like internal for me. I work with this guy. I guess I can explain like one of my relationships at my work that I think was like really beneficial for me, which was this guy that I worked with. His name was Dan. Nothing like me, but that's what like made it. We're both Virgos, so that's the only thing we had in common. He liked listening to music, and he was like a pretty chill guy who wasn't like into a whole lot of like, I don't know, crazy. Like he was an introvert for sure. And he was always talking about how he could see people's souls, and like just kind of, he knew things about people. Like he was highly sensitive, but he was definitely like a thinker dominant. I think TI, I don't think TE. I think he was a TI dominant person, like in the first slot. And I think he might, I don't know his type, but I know that he's a TI dominant. That's all I know. So we just had a lot of really cool conversations, and he would like tear apart all my ideas and help me like really strengthen the logic behind what I was saying, and help me like solidify things in a way that was like easier for me to express the ideas to other people. I can't think of any of those ideas right now off the top of my head. But that was really like beneficial for me to have that relationship at that time. He was like basically like a brother to me. I mean, we don't really talk now, but we don't really have any reason to. It was more just like the proximity and the time that we were both in at our lives. You know, you would think that he could be an INFJ, and probably based off how I'm describing him, he might come off that way. But I don't think so. I've known a lot of INFJs, and dominant intuitives are really easy to. I don't know, maybe not, because, you know, I've been realizing that I'm terrible at judging people and typing them. So I could be wrong. You guys could be right. He could be an INFJ. I redact everything I've just said.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It is hard to say. But I feel like you've had close experiences with INFJs, and obviously you're dating an INFJ right now. So I don't know. I wouldn't be too much, like, I feel like you probably can type people better than you think. And just in general, it's hard to type people, like, just other people. It's hard to type people because people are very complex. But so what would you say, like, what is your current situation like, and what are some of your plans or like dreams for the future?
Whew, okay. Well, so sorry, I completely forgot the first half of your question, but I did want to answer it. I'm so sorry. Can you say it again?
What's your current situation like, and what are your
Okay. So currently my boyfriend and I live alone in a house that we're renting in Iowa. Nobody come stalk me. And it's really nice because we each have our own room. So I have my office. I work from home, so I spend like 99% of my time in my office. He has his room, which is like his office. It's got his drum set and his computer and stuff. And then we have 2 guinea pigs, which stay in my office, and we have 2 cats. And my one cat, if cats could have autism, this cat has autism. And I don't mean that in a negative kind of way at all, but he's just very awkward when it comes to being around, just showing affection and stuff like this. Like our female cat, she'll come up, she'll rub against you. She'll be all like, you know, she has like this look in her eye. The other cat, the boy, he's got like this perpetual twitch in his tail. He'll chase his own tail for entertainment. He just like has the most like, he does these like really cute sounds. I know that's not really proving that he's autistic. I'm sorry, but he is. If you saw him, you would know what I mean. I'm not very good at this. Is something I really need to work at, which is like describing things. I think I was watching like a Dave Superpowers video, and he was like, Nis and Nis are much more likely to speak abstractly about things and like have opinions about them and then come in with like a grounding for that opinion, whereas Si and Se will start with the facts and then come into an opinion. I don't know, but I definitely feel like that is me.
Yeah.
I have so much trouble coming up with like a that was a big insecurity for me when I was younger, because my mom would always be like, what happened? Why, what, blah, 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 blah. And I would just like freeze and not know what to say. And especially when I'm stressed, it would be even harder to come up with examples. And yeah, that definitely was hard for me when I was younger.
Well, I feel like I did.
Ahead. Sorry. No,
I was just gonna comment on that. Like, I think sometimes I have a hard time coming up with examples for things as well, but I feel like it might be a little bit different. But go ahead.
So yeah, that's my current situation. I live in this house. It's really nice to be in this situation where we have the space and the solitude from the outside world. It's pretty nice. So goals for the future, you guys can already guess that they're lofty. You know, saving the world and stuff like that. No, but in all actuality, I'm writing a sci-fi novel series, which I'm 2 books in. You're not going to read them probably for at least a year or 2. But it's a sci-fi series that is the culmination of my philosophical beliefs and what, like, my hopes for society and my fears for society manifested in a story form, so that hopefully people can see where I'm coming from. And, you know, because kind of like what sparked the idea for my story was this idea that, like, in this day and age, we have the ability to see all of the past. We have the ability to go through all of history and see patterns and see how it's progressed over a pretty large period of time. I think like the oldest records we have are from like Mesopotamia. So like that's almost like 5,000 years ago, basically. And we have social media, we have news, we have the ability to see what's going on right now all the time. And we have fiction, which helps us see potential ways that the future could unfold in 100 different ways. And something to keep in mind is that none of it is 100% correct. I don't trust 90% of history that I read. I don't trust 90% of the news that I read. And the news is part of why I don't trust the history, because people can say whatever they want. And even because somebody was like, you know, the history master and it was like their job to denote history, anything could be changed at any point in time. And, you know, even the people who write the history books could be biased. So there, you just have to take history with a grain of salt. You have to take the present with a grain of salt. And obviously fiction, you're going to take with a grain of salt because you know that it's fiction. But what I'm getting at is that all of these exist right now and we have access to all of them. So not only can we think about the past and what's happened, but we can guess what will happen. And we're at a point where we should be making decisions for society as a whole, as opposed to individual countries. I think we should be thinking about the big global picture. And that's essentially what my book is about. The main antagonist, you know, is if you guys want to know, he's an ENTJ, and he sees how the world can be fixed immediately, and the way that he goes about it is not right. But my main character is kind of like discovering herself and discovering, you know, the reasons why, you know, everything's happening and how it could be better, and, you know, actually implementing changes. And I don't know, it's just basically, I'm not going to even get too far into my books because then I'll just talk for, you know, hours. I talked, if you guys ever watch Auto Alchemy, he and I did a video on just my writing process in general, if you're interested. So I'm not going to get too far into that because I don't just want to go on forever. But the poor guy has had to listen to me talk for like hours about my books. Watch that for a synopsis.
Yes. Sorry, my mom just walked in. Okay, thank you, mommies.
Hi, Mom.
Everybody's saying hi, mommies. My mammals. But yeah, Stephanie was saying that she wants to read your book. I would love to read your book as well. I think it sounds really interesting. And I watched your interview with Jeffrey, and I thought it was really interesting.
Did you sit through the whole
really,
thing?
Mom? Oh, what? My mom just threw the light off on me.
Tell your mom I'm cool and that that's not cool. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to say that to your mom.
It's just funny. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
So your question actually ties back. Let's see if the chat still has it, because I saw this question. I didn't want to ignore it. So Reaper X Steel Gaming, he asked, like, how do you think my traits are going to evolve? And which functions do you think are going to get me what I want in life? And I definitely think that, you know, the whole purpose of life is not to confine ourselves to our personality types. It's to recognize our personality preferences, our ego, and to transcend that and to find a balance between all of the functions and use all of our brain's capacity to the fullest. So in essence, the best way that I can achieve my potential is to develop my weakest functions, which, you know, extroverted sensing is going to be probably the hardest one for me to work on. Being in the moment, what's going on, being able to get outside of my head sometimes, and developing a TI, because it's all well and good to have FI. It's all well and good to, you know, question these moral concepts and come up with your own idea of what's the best way for you to live for yourself. But you also have to have a logic behind it. And I think philosophy is a lot about TI kind of logic. Like, I don't know if you guys ever read philosophical things, but they're just like TI craziness where you're just like, man, you have really come up with a strong reasoning behind this. Like, so I think that's really important to develop too. And I don't know, I think in short, balancing all my functions would be the best way for me to actualize my potential and get the most out of my life. And I'm not saying that NE isn't great and I don't love it, which I do. But I think NE is what's going to carry me through learning the other functions. NE is what's going to help motivate me to learn these other functions, because it's something I can rely on. It's something that I'm comfortable with. I'm good at it. If I'm struggling with one, I can lean into my NE a little bit more, even if it's only for my NE to conceptualize that other way of thinking so that I can balance myself.
Wow. That was a really good answer. That was a really good answer. We've gotten this question a couple of times. What are your unpopular opinions?
Oh, hold on. I wrote some stuff down. So.
Oh, cool!
Because I was thinking about it. So let me grab that real fast. Sorry. Oh, you guys can see my guinea pigs. They're so cute. Oh, there they are. Can you see?
Yes.
They're so cute.
I see your painting of the cat.
Oh, yeah. What, Tim? Oh, really? I'm in the interview right now. Okay, hold on. It's in here. Okay, sorry. I like cleaned, so I put everything away, which is, yeah, it's a painting of my cat.
That's cute.
Okay, so, I wrote them down. It smells really good. So I believe that nature has just as much of an effect, if not more so, on autism than genetics. Boom. But I believe that for a long time, because autism is, quote unquote, a lack of mirror neurons. And if you ever study psychology, mirror neurons are developed through eye contact and physical contact when a child is a baby. So, and also, my nephew was a really intelligent kid. He was speaking, he was giving great eye contact all up until he was about 2. Then something happened, and 2 years later, he was so autistic, he couldn't look you in the eye. He could not speak. Like, he had no verbal communication skills at all, where he went from 2 to 4 and he lost those skills. I don't know. I'm not saying that it's always this case, and there are definitely people who are born autistic, and there's nothing you can do about that except continue to work with them and try to help them. There are extreme cases, but I do think that a reason why autism is so strong in our society is because we're in a society where both parents work, and there's not enough time being spent with the kids to develop them.
Interesting. What are some other things?
I don't believe that truth exists. I don't think there is such a thing as truth. And when people seem so convinced of something, it actually really pisses me off, because I'm like, there's no way you can 100% believe that, because I can okay, so my boyfriend and I went out with our friend who's an ESTP, if you guys must know. And we were talking about the speed of light, right? And this guy was like, the speed of light, is a determined number. It's a fact. And I was like, tell me this. When have we been able to reproduce traveling a year's worth of light across space? Tell me that. Tell me when we have let light travel for a year through space and measured that exact distance. Tell me, and I will believe you, but we have not.
Wow.
Well, 2 + 2 can equal 4, but it can also not equal 4. It just depends on how you're rounding your numbers, yo. Just saying. I'm sorry. That's the argument everyone goes to when you're like, truth doesn't exist, and you're like, 2 + 2 does not equal 4. Numbers are a convention that we have used to solidify our outside world and describe it. So I'm just saying. I'm done. Hold on a second. Tim, I'm in the middle of it right now. The interview with Emily.
So all of you truthers out there, I'm just kidding.
If you want to come up, you can meet everyone.
That would be awesome.
Well, you wanna come up and meet everyone and bring me the food? You love me. I love you. Okay. Sorry. We actually have this weird vent in the middle of the floor that means that we can actually just talk to each other through the vent from upstairs. So
that's cool.
I might get him to come on for a second. I told him to bring me my food, so we'll see. I'm trying, guys.
That would be a treat. What is another unpopular opinion that you have?
I don't like pretty much any popular music. But I'm like, unpopular opinion. I don't like Marvel movies or Avenger movies or Iron Man's okay, but I don't like those movies at all. I hate them.
Uh-oh. I can just see the dislikes getting more. Which, by the way, I've noticed lately, this is just random, but I've noticed lately, throughout my last few videos, and I don't know if it's because of my breakup, but there's been a lot more people disliking my videos. So I just have noticed, I'm like, wow, that's fun. There's already a dislike on this video. I don't even know why, but just some fake haters out there. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I'm not. I don't know. I actually think those movies they're interesting in some way, but they're definitely not movies that I seek out. Like, and also when it comes to popular music, I mean, I just did. Have you done? Do you have Spotify?
I love Spotify.
Did you do the Spotify Wrapped thing where they like it's like where they show how many minutes you've listened to this year and stuff like that?
No, but I'd be interested to know.
Yeah,
I love the yearly recaps where it shows you the song.
It is the recap.
Oh, okay,
You have to
then
go.
yes.
You have to go on SpotifyWrapped.com. It's just SpotifyWrapped.com, and then it goes through 10 different things. Like, it will do the recap, but it'll also say how many minutes you've listened and how many, like, what's your genre. Oh, hey!
This is my boyfriend. His name is Tim. He's an INFJ. I already told him though. So.
Of course.
He's like, now you have preconceived notions about me.
Well, I'm hungry. Nice to meet you all. I'm gonna go.
Me too. He's like, no. Bye. Thank you. Oh, thanks for the. Oh, I'm so excited for food.
Yeah.
But
well,
I'll have to go on the actual page because. Yeah.
Interesting. Sorry, I was just looking at a comment.
No, that's okay. I was too.
Okay. Well, this kind of brings me towards what we were talking about before the live stream. The 3% show.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Say what that's about.
So guys, I've only seen 2 episodes, so I don't know everything about it, but I think that the little bit that I know can help you guys feel maybe convinced to want to watch it. So it's actually a Brazilian show, so it's in Portuguese, so I highly recommend switching it from the automatic setting of dubbed to subbed. I think movies are just better in their original language. Anyway, that's besides the point. Basically, the show is a dystopian sci-fi about the society where 3% of the population, once they come of age, and I think it's 18-ish, could be 21, I don't know, young adult, they take this series of tests. And if they pass and they are the top 3%, they get to go to the offland or something. It's like an island away from the main city. So I imagine it kind of like the capital of Brazil for some Rio de Janeiro. Hold on, no, that's not right. Is that right?
I'm not sure.
Rio something. Sorry. Okay. I don't know. Now I feel guilty because I actually do know the capital, but it's not coming to my mind right now. But anyway, so yeah, they have to pass the test, and if they're in the top 3%, they get to go to this other place, which is like a utopia. But wow, I'm having a real hard time. Apologize. But yeah, if they fail, then they have to stay in this like really poor area where everybody lives. And this is a guess that I've made, but might not be 100% the reality of the show. But it does seem like the only people who have children are the poor people. So basically they have all the children, and then the top 3% of those children are taken to this like other place once a year. Because the resources are really limited in this world, it seems like. And however, the people in the great place, they have like this utopian world. But all the while, there's this like, of course, group who's trying to take it all down and, yeah, ruin everything, basically. which is great. That's why you watch these movies.
And I think that's really interesting. Like, it's such an interesting concept of like a society. And we were talking about this. It's like, if it is the fact that the people that are poor are the only people that can reproduce, it's like, well, then those are not the top 3%. But and you were saying that you think that's because, like, if the top 3% were to reproduce, then they would run out of resources. The way I think about it, like, for the top 3%, like the other 97%, it's like, they could potentially have just as intelligent or like at the same level as the top 3%. But what if it's like one of those things where it just becomes lesser and lesser, like, in the sense, yeah, like, you just, like, those people lose. So like the top or the bottom 97% just basically reproduce
right, like a recessive trait, like you're genetically weeding it out. Exactly. Yeah, I think that might be something that they bring up, though I doubt that's the point they're trying to make with it, but definitely that's like an inherent flaw with that system, because eventually, just like if you take the tallest person every time that they're born, eventually there's going to be less tall people because you've removed them all from the society.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And I mean, mutations happen, but it would be less so. Or like, like, it doesn't. So for example, and this is like just on a superficial level, if you had two ugly people, and again, attractiveness can depend on a person's taste and stuff, but let's pretend that these two people are objectively ugly. They could still have beautiful children. So it's like, it's kind of interesting. It's the same thing as like two people that maybe are of normal intelligence could still have like a genius child. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. What do you think the point of the show is?
Well, I'm really gonna have to find out. It's only 2 episodes. I have definitely the idea that like separating people like that is a form of elitism, and that's wrong, is probably going to be a major thesis of the thing. And it also kind of seems like a statement on our society in a way, in that we do kind of do that to the poor people. We're like, oh, well, you might make it big on YouTube and you might be able to make a ton of money, or you might be the other 93% of YouTube who doesn't make any money off their videos, but you have that hope, and so you're going to keep going through your drudgery of a life, not noticing that you're literally a slave, because you have this opportunity for a really great thing where you might really make it. And I'm not just saying YouTube, I'm just saying that that's a like most modern equivalent of that idea of like making it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, in our current America, at least, it's like the top, it's not even 1% of our society anymore that holds like 99% of the entire monetary system of our entire country. But besides the point.
Yeah. But yeah, I like shows like that. I think I definitely want to watch that. It seems very interesting at the very least.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how it progresses, and I will let you guys know.
Yeah. Let's see.
While you're doing that, I know someone did ask me what my books are, so while you're looking for what you're looking, I guess I'll just answer that really fast.
Yes, go ahead.
So they're organized by, I guess I'll just pull this down. Why not? Okay, so they're organized by theme, basically. So I have like my sci-fi, which is my biggest section, then fantasy, and then other, because I have so few. And then I have like, this is like all my work from my novels, basically. Like they're printed out, and then my notes and stuff. And then I have like my religious books. I have the Quran, the Bible, and the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and a book called Conscious Dreaming, which is really cool. And then I have a bunch of books on writing, and this cool book called Drive, which is about motivation. And then more writing books, and that's pretty much what I have. I more go to the library. And also I got rid of a lot of my books because I move a lot and books are heavy.
Yeah, they are.
So, and I can just go to a library, so.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, I'm kind of weird about like books. I typically only like hardcover books, and I don't know. I don't have many books as well because I got rid of a lot. I donated them, and I only keep. I mean, I try to minimize the stuff that I have. But Cedric Beachy, I think that's how you. I mean, I always see you, Cedric. So I think it's Beachy. How much do you know about IQ? That's what he wants to know.
So I think my first experience with like an IQ type test was when I was like in elementary school, and they did this like gifted testing. And if I recall, I was like, man, how can anybody not do this? It's just pattern recognition. And they would show you like 3 symbols, and then you'd pick the next one in the line. And I was like, this is obvious. Like, who wouldn't get this? Like, they're all this, like, it's all like one, then the next, then the next. So, I mean, I guess that might not be how it is for other people, but I just feel like it was set up in a way that was really easy. But maybe it's more like testing your, I don't know, I guess, I don't know. It just seemed to me it was all about pattern recognition. I don't know. I did get tested into gifted, but they didn't put me in it for like a year. They never told me if I had it, like if that concluded an IQ score. My only like real IQ test I took was in when I moved to that middle school where they like where they didn't want to let me take high school classes. They did a IQ test. And it was like word association questions and more pattern recognition, and then seeing how many things I could remember, which I thought I was failing at the whole time, the whole remembering more than like 5 or 6 numbers. But yeah, that's pretty much my personal experience. I don't know if I fully trust IQ tests, but I don't know. I think it's like a way to try to measure something that's immeasurable. And I think if you don't do well on tests or in a testing environment, or in whichever environment that they give you the IQ completely, you could tell yourself that you only have an IQ of 100 for the rest of your life, when really you don't have that low of an IQ. Like, you actually are a really smart person, but you just didn't do well on the test. So I don't really know how much it actually proves about people.
No, I agree. I mean, Jonathan said in the comments that it also has to do with like the IQ test is timed, and that also plays a role in the scoring and stuff. I've actually taken it, and I took it pretty quickly. Well, I mean, like the portions that, like, I took it quicker than, I mean, I didn't take the time that I was supposed to take for the test. And typically on tests, just in general, like not the IQ test, but just like other tests, it takes me a long time to take tests. Like, I've always been a slow test taker. So it's like, even at that, like, just because I was able to complete that faster doesn't mean that it was, I don't know. I agree with that. I think when we put these numbers associated with us, I mean, onto us, it limits us. I don't know if you guys have checked out the Awakened INFJ's most recent video, Jonas's recent video, but he was talking about like kind of something similar, not really about IQ, but like about personality, and how this one person was saying that basically Jonas put a link onto a Facebook group, and this person like told him, oh, I would never, as an INFJ, I would never put a link to my YouTube channel, and I would never do something like that. And like in this video, he kind of talks about limitations, and I kind of see IQ as a limitation. I mean, for me, it was a little bit, I mean, it was a little bit validating in a way when I did find out what my score was, just because I always felt like people thought I was stupid. Like, I mean, I always felt like people thought I was stupid when I was younger because I was held back. And I think that was all in my mind because, like, I don't know. I was just really critical of myself, but yeah. But I don't know. That was kind of a tangent. but
That's
yeah.
okay.
But I would definitely recommend checking out that video, and actually like kind of talking about limitations. What are some limitations you've seen for ENFPs that you feel like are so like, or like you just don't agree with, or like you have kind of looked past?
I think there are two big limitations that I think a lot of ENFPs put upon themselves, and one of them is that you cannot get organized and get your life together, and the other one is that you're always going to be aloof all the time and never know what's going on. Like I said earlier, like I do think that it's important to transcend your type and to balance yourself and to learn to make up for your weaknesses, and I think a lot of ENFPs can kind of, you know, we like that we're unique and that we're cool and we're, you know, quirky and we're all so different from each other. Like we all have unique senses of style, and like we like to use that, I think, as a crutch. And I think all types do this in a way where we use our type as a crutch to prevent us from developing our weaker functions. And I definitely think, you know, thinking that you're never going to be able to be structured is a common ENFP thing that they say to themselves, or something that I say to myself, and I use it as an excuse a lot, is that, you know, oh, I knocked that over, or, oh, I didn't realize I spilled because I'm just too in my mind, like I just can't like even focus on the outside world, there's no way I can do it, like I'm just really bad at that. And I just tell myself over and over I'm really bad at like being aware of what I'm doing. And that's why I spill things. And that's why I don't notice when I get crumbs on the counter and stuff, when it's just like, I'm just not choosing to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to figure out how to do that. But I do think that it's like limiting my own development of my extroverted sensing, because I just tell myself I'm bad at it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though we are trying to like, I mean, I'm trying to transcend my type as well. Like I really push myself to do things, but I even find myself, I mean, catching myself saying limiting things, even when it comes to like little things. I mean, typically, and I know that this is something that I can work on, but I'm really bad at like, doing everyday tasks in the sense of, not in the sense of like vacuuming or something. Like Calypso from INTJ INFp Coffee was like talking about how she has a hard time vacuuming and like doing stuff like that. I don't really have a hard time doing those things necessarily, but what I have a hard time doing is just like everyday things that have to do with like myself. Like I forget to use the restroom, for example. I could go the entire day without thinking about using the restroom. And I know that that's not a healthy thing. And I could also like not take a shower for like a long time, and that sounds really bad as well. but like it's just like stuff I don't care about. Like, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I can relate. No, I can relate to, and actually, I think a lot of ENFPs can relate to that, like putting off showering. It's like it's just a nuisance more so than anything else. Like, especially if you're not gonna see anyone, like who's to judge you except yourself when you like move to grab something and you get a whiff of yourself and you're like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't neglect that.
The thing is, I mean, people don't notice. And it might be because, like, I've trained myself. Well, like, I've just naturally, I mean, I don't really sweat that much. And this sounds so gross, guys. Please don't do what I do. Like, but, like, for example, my hair. I mean, it hasn't been that long since I've washed my hair. My hair's just really dry. Like, it doesn't get oily very quickly. So, like, I don't do this, but I have done this before. I could go like a week or more without washing my hair and it would look fine. Like you would not even guess that I haven't washed my hair.
I mean, there are people whose entire YouTube video is how to not wash your hair for a week. So
yeah, maybe I should do that. Just become one of those YouTubers.
Oh God. The YouTube world does not need any more of those YouTubers.
That's true.
That is just the whole beauty tube thing. And I keep in it only because I find it inspiring that they can like grow their channel so much. And I'm like, how can you do that without being so grounded in this kind of like SE kind of subject, which is that of makeup and hair and clothes and stuff, but they just do so well because it's just so easy to watch someone pretty put on makeup. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm sorry. Like it did kind of come off.
No, I believe me.
But yeah, it's pretty sad that like that's what gets a bunch of views. But honestly, like, I really think that there's something to these like interviews and these conversations. And I really hope they kind of expand past just talking about personality, because just even talking about personality alienates a certain number of viewers who might be interested in a conversation topic. But because of personality, they don't know enough about it. They might feel like they wouldn't be able to understand what the conversation's about. But I do really like this idea of talking to people live in real time. We're not anywhere close to each other, but we're just talking to each other and having these conversations. And there's other people here to join in, and maybe they're not live sharing their video, but they're here to join in and they're talking and they're adding to the conversation. And I think that there's something really exciting about that idea. And I almost wonder, you know, is that the next evolution for YouTube? Like, yeah, those stupid cat videos and memes and TikTok videos. Oh, I love cats. I watch them.
I'm gonna go just like all of your videos now. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
I'm just joking. No, I've only disliked a video once my whole life, and then I've accidentally disliked videos, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually disliked this. But the only video that I disliked, I undid that because I just felt bad about it. I felt bad about disliking it. But anyways, but yeah, no, I agree. And going back to like the makeup thing and like those kind of YouTubers, it is interesting because there's people that's really interesting to them, and like that's what they can talk about for a long time. Like if my mom was going to do YouTube, I bet that's what she would do, is something like that. She actually was a professional makeup artist when she was in her 20s. She's an ISFP, so she does have high extroverted sensing, and you know, she's really interested in that kind of stuff, whereas I don't really care. Like I really don't care. I mean, I care about like how I look, but I don't really care that much. Like, I don't know.
It's not an absolute priority.
Yeah. Yeah. But like with her, she's very much concerned about that kind of stuff. So it was kind of good because I grew up with someone that was very like, she told me, she's like, Emily, you do not look good right now. Like, it was good. It was good. Like, I didn't grow up delusional. So, I mean, in some ways. But yeah, no, I agree. So I feel like I could talk about this right now. Whoa. This is like, I'm trying to get up from this air mattress and it's like, anyways, no, I agree with you. I don't want to isolate people either. I'm kind of doing a transition. Like I feel like I'm a very strategic person. I don't know if have you ever taken the Strengths Finders test?
I don't think so.
It's a personality thing. It's more about like what your strengths are. I had to do it when I was an RA. It's like, I think they paid, it's like a test you have to pay for, I think. Kind of like Big Five in a way. Anyways, that's random. But it's kind of interesting. But I want to, in the future, I like the personality stuff and I definitely want to keep it up in some point. And I think I want to introduce it to people that don't even know personality stuff. But the way I'm going to do is probably in 2019, there's going to be some big changes. I guess that's what I'll say. I think in a good way.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I want to kind of, I mean, it's okay if people take this idea. I don't really care. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like this might be something that other people have done, but I kind of want to make this channel more along the lines of how just to encompass everything and make it more streamlined in the sense that it kind of all lumps together. It's just like have this channel be like kind of keep the pucokie, keep that kind of stuff, but have it be like the secret life of an introvert, kind of the not so secret life of an introvert, and kind of going into that kind of stuff and then just opening up not only my worlds but other people's worlds and like the even extroverts and stuff, but like do it in a way that's more other people that don't know things about personality will be able to feel a little less intimidated about kind of checking it out. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah. So I feel weird talking about that. But yeah.
No, I think that's a really good idea, especially if you look at the kind of people who are drawn to the internet. I mean, especially videos, you're going to get a lot more people who are introverted more so than extroverted, especially who would seek out that kind of video topic. And I think a lot of introverted people do need help finding like a family or a home or, you know, people that they can relate to, because they feel like in this world they have to be more extroverted in order to get what they want. Or they might even, you know, not be the kind of person that wants to go after anything and feel like that they're so weird about that. I don't know. Now I'm getting on a tangent. I apologize.
No. I think there was a lot of stuff you were saying that I feel like is relevant. I think people like myself at times feel like there's nobody else around them that maybe they can relate to. And so it's cool. I love like, you know, I think it's so cool that like everybody in the comments of this video, you know, I've seen, if not all of these people, almost all of these people, like all the time. Like, I mean, I've seen them several times, and it's awesome to like have a community where people are talking, and it's awesome. I don't know. I just really like it. But what are some of your plans for your channel?
Ooh, So I'm a person who has to write things down so I don't forget them. So let me pull some like broad ideas that I've had. Like I can't just do like a one size fits all, and I think that's why or like a singular subject. And I think that's why my channel dropped off after I started it. I only got it going for a few months, and I think it's because I tried to focus so much on MBTI, and I didn't really believe that I knew it well enough to teach anybody about it. And I need a bajillion more ENFP videos. There are already so many out there. Like I don't really have anything to add to that community. Like I'm learning more than I'm actually teaching anybody. But some things that I was thinking about, like my writing, I think I really like watching writers on YouTube because it's just nice to see how their process is and watch them grow and use that as kind of inspiration. So like some writing stuff. I want to do a lot more collaborations and talk about like philosophical topics, about weird things, about ideas that people don't normally talk about. And I'm a person like, I like to talk about it by myself a little bit, but I think it's a lot more engaging when it's with somebody else who can contradict you and come up with opposite options. Like they say that ENTPs and ENFPs they're not very like compatible, but I think when it comes to conversation, we can be some of the most compatible because we're not tied down to any one particular idea. So we can just like talk for ages about anything and really just come up with a bunch of ideas. Now it can lead to overload of ideas, but I like that because then I have something to sit and sift through and think about later. I know it might sound weird. And then probably just some other random stuff. Like I want to post some guinea pig videos, like guinea pig ASMR, where they're just like chewing on hay.
You just talked about how you don't like cat videos. I mean, you said stupid cat videos.
No. I didn't say I didn't like cat videos.
I'm kidding.
I'm just saying.
So you're gonna do some stupid guinea pig videos? I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
no,
for sure.
I love that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about that. And I think your guinea pigs are so cute.
Yeah, they're adorable.
I'm gonna actually do a video. They are. I'm gonna do a video because actually in my real life, well, I guess this is real life, but like in person, my friends or just people that know me and know like especially Pumpkin and Fleur. Well, particularly Pumpkin just because he's 16 and a half and people know him more just because he's older and stuff. And then Fleur's only 2 and a half. But both of them are like so sweet and like I can do whatever anything. I could throw them, well, I wouldn't do this, but I could throw them in the air. Actually, I have done this, but I could throw them in the air and catch them and they would not bat an eyelash at that. And I kind of want to do a video about like training my cats, which I don't think I've trained my cats, but I just have a way different approach than most people do when it comes to cats. And like I can go like this, like I can be like to my cats and they'll just be like they're just like, oh, this is Emily. But,
that's great. That'll be great. I did kind of want to address something because even just what you're saying, and I know it's kind of like a joke, but I do think that this is something that like I have to deal with a lot and on a more broad scale, but like where I say something that maybe I don't 100% mean, and maybe I've like said the wrong thing, but people will like latch onto it. And I'm not saying like I'm upset about what you're saying. I'm just saying in general, like with bigger things, this happens to me a lot. And I think because I have extroverted intuition and SI is in like the 4th slot, so it's kind of weak, I can come up with new conclusions and I can have a solid idea about something in the moment. And then someone will say something that sparks my NE, which sparks an SI idea about that NE idea, like an SI like memory. and I'll say something that I thought or felt at one time in the past that contradicts what I've already just said, because SI and NE are so relational like that, that it can be completely disregarding your FI ideas of what you've decided. Or TI, like I'm sure, and actually I've seen this happen to ENTPs too, and I think it's because we have dominant NE. And I think that's what makes it hard for me to want to like share my opinions about things, because I often say things that I maybe don't necessarily mean, or it's an old idea, but because I'm like in the moment, I might see it as a new idea and think it's a great idea, and then in retrospect realize that it wasn't a great idea, or that it was an old idea and I've contradicted it already with something else that I've discovered but forgotten about, or I haven't formed those connections fully in a way where they can be pulled up again. It's like they're there, but they're disjointed, and I have to like connect the ideas. I think that's probably a really SI way of describing like how I store all my memories, but they're all like connected and sometimes disjointed, and it's the disjointed, especially big ideas like that, that it's just a struggle. I think it's like a hard thing to deal with in like something that a lot of people I don't think can relate to and understand like how frustrating it is.
No, I'm sorry. Well, I know you weren't like upset about that, but yeah, I noticed that with other ENFP friends, like for example, Anna. Like Anna's just a good example to me. My friend Anna, that's an ENFP. She also does similar things to you. Well, she does like the same stuff, like where she'll say something, and I know she's not like, you know, like I knew that you were not, that wasn't like your actual like, I mean, you were not being like, oh, I hate cat videos or something like that. I mean, I was just joking with that, but I do see, I mean, I have seen, and I bet you have seen this too with yourself, but I've seen this with Anna, where Anna will say something kind of similar to that, and then people get actually offended by it. And I'm like, you know, she wasn't being serious, or like the same thing where it might have been an old opinion, and just like, and it can be really hurtful for her because she doesn't want to like, you know, she's not trying to offend other people or like be mean or like whatever it is, but people will get upset by it, and I, you know, it's unfortunate, but yeah.
So yeah, I do actually have to work really hard on my memory, Jeffrey, because like for me, the things that I remember are the things that I liked and the things that I was interested in. But then like as things start getting more complex, you have to like realize how they all fit together, which is like how any works at all the time. You're constantly seeing connections between things. And sometimes you see connections that aren't necessarily there. And I think that's another reason why people don't trust your opinion on things, because they know that your opinion's going to change. And so that's another frustrating thing, because a lot of times people don't take you seriously because you're not consistent. And it's not like we're trying to be inconsistent. It's just like, we can't help but be opinionated, because opinions are what get things done for us. Like that's how we accomplish things, is by projecting an opinion in the moment. And I think, yeah, I digress.
No, I think that's actually really helpful for anybody that's watching this that kind of is trying to understand extroverted intuition. I feel like that could be very helpful. I did want, this is off that topic, but I was seeing where Jonas or the Awakened INFJ was asking about like donations and stuff on this live stream. I, like Stephanie was saying, I don't think I have that capability because my channel is not monetized. But that being said, the way the monetization works on YouTube, it used to not be like this. This changed like this year. Mm-hmm. But you have to, like Stephanie said, you have to have like 4,000 hours of watch time, and you also have to have at least 1,000 subscribers. I have over both of those criteria, And actually, it was really weird because I know some people, they have to like trigger it, but like for some reason, when I hit 1,000 subscribers, YouTube already put me under review. Like I mean, maybe a long time ago, but I do not remember hitting that I wanted my channel to be under review. Nowhere. So basically, my channel is under review for monetization. It's been under review for over a month. I'm not really sure if, you know, what it will lead to or whatever. So there could be a chance that in maybe in the near future my channel's monetized. But that doesn't really, you know, that doesn't mean anything. And you don't really make that much money anyways because it's just from ads. But yeah, so maybe once that, if it does end up being reviewed, then, or like, yeah, it will be monetized. So if you guys see ads anytime soon, that's what happened, that it was under review. So, but yeah, it's interesting because like not everybody knows this about like YouTube and stuff. But yeah, so let's see. Jeffrey has some good questions here. Jeffrey Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
He's been asking you a lot of stuff. Would you like to answer the last thing he said?
Yeah, and I think that that's something I've actually been working a lot in the workplace specifically. I'm a lot more careful about what I do express an opinion on. I've learned to have better FE through the job that I have right now, because it is true that people will look at your past you and they'll make assumptions about you, especially people who have NI anywhere in their main four, like whether they're an SE Dom or NI Dom. They're going to make assumptions about you based off even just one behavior, and might be less likely to change their opinion unless they have really good proof otherwise. And so that is definitely something I have to deal with a lot. My work has helped me, like I said, grow and get better at that. So in work, I'm actually very careful about what things I express opinions about, and I make sure that I create a plan and I have other people go over my plan and tear it apart and make sure that it's solid before I give it up to anybody in higher management. And my work really respects me now because they see the fact that I can come up with really good ideas. But I have to be very, very, very careful which ones I share, and I have to make sure that I've taken the time to really think about them before sharing them. Like if I'm with someone I trust, I'll share my many ideas because I need to let them out sometimes and see other people's opinions. But yeah, definitely people will look at your past and assume or have a solid opinion because you just have too many ideas that you can't ever follow through with them. But you don't have to be like that if you have lead any. It definitely can come out, especially when you're excited, especially when you're having a good conversation. You can easily get into that. But I definitely think for any DOMs, that is definitely something to focus a lot of energy on, is learning what ideas to share and when.
Yes. No, I think you, I mean, well, I guess we literally are the same age. I'm literally a month older than you. But I was about to say you're very wise for your age. But yeah, I think so. I think you are a very self-aware and well-developed ENFP in general. Or just like person in general. If we even want to get off of like the hat of ENFP, like, yeah, it's interesting. So Jonas asked again,
He's been trying to ask it like 4 times or something.
Into that. Yeah, into that. You guys, we're looking at the chat. Don't worry.
I'm very aware of the chat. And Jonas, I appreciate that you've repeated yourself to make sure that it does not go unheard. The main reason I'm not typing is because my hands would be like this. So, because for lighting, like if I had my computer where I could type, like my face would be in like really darkness. But if meet a fictional character, who would be the most boring?
That's an interesting question.
I think you might need to give me something more specific, because when I think about just any fiction, I just think about my favorite characters. So it's hard for me to think about the negative.
Well, okay.
Come up with
yeah. Let's see.
Tell me a
you know how it is.
one.
It's a little lagged.
But while I'm waiting for him to give me something more specific to cling on to, his other question, what is the best and what is the worst purchase I've ever made? I scrolled down too far. The best purchase I ever made, that's a tough question. I guess a recent purchase that I thought was really good was when I got bleached the first time and bleached my hair and dyed it red. And then I eventually dyed it purple. And I really like my hair purple, but I also hate bleaching my hair. But I do think at that time in my life, I did need it. So that was just for me. In terms of worst, would be something I never use. Okay, I'll be more generic. My worst purchases that I make on a regular basis is candy, because I'm addicted and I'm trying to work on it, but it's just so hard because I love candy.
Well, I love chocolate. I have a bad habit. I've been cutting this habit, but I mean, I still do it, but I've just cut it a lot more. Is not about candy, but it's like getting a coffee, like buying a coffee. Like now I just I'm actually trying to drink more tea. I haven't had that much coffee in the last month. Like I have maybe a cup of coffee maybe once a week now, and now I just substitute tea. But yeah, that's interesting.
I love coffee as well. That's another addiction of mine. But I like fresh coffee pour-overs or French presses that I have like ground the coffee right before.
But as we know at Starbucks, who are the worst people to come in when it comes to coffee? Pour-over people suck. I hate those pour-over people.
They do. They slow you down.
Well, okay. That's kind of a generalization, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, especially when you're in the middle of a rush and like you already have 4 coffee pots all brewing at the same time, and you're just like, I do not have time right now to make you your pour over. I don't have room on my counter for this right now. Like, you need to get out of here with this pour.
Yeah.
And then you're like doing it over the pastries. Like, this is not smart, but it's the only place I have. I was gonna say something and then I forgot. Oh. So my favorite customer, actually my least favorite, but she was the most memorable. She would get a grande caramel frappuccino, light ice, extra blended in a venti cup with extra caramel sauce. And what that meant is we took off the lid of the caramel drizzler and like just poured it into the cup.
One of those people. Oh my gosh.
And she would get an extra shot of espresso, and she would get like at least 1 or 2 a day.
Wow.
And she was not a nice lady either. I mean, probably because she was going through major ups and downs with her sugar intake and her caffeine intake. That probably doesn't make her a very stable person. By the time we see her, she's in withdrawal, but I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I have so many stories about Starbucks. I actually can make a Starbucks video. I bet both of us could.
I could too.
I kind of don't want to say this person's name, just because, like, well, I don't really think she's bad, even though she got banned from our store. I mean, she is very entitled.
She got banned. You can already tell there's a story there, because Starbucks does not ban customers easily, believe me.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, we'll just call her, her name starts with a Z, so I'll just call her Z.
Zebra.
Yes. So Zebra, let me think of what drink she would get. This was in Seattle. So I worked at both.
Oh God.
Yes. See, okay, this is the thing about Seattle too, is there's over, like, if I'm not mistaken, there's over 200 Starbucks just in Seattle, Washington, or just in the state of Washington, or something crazy like that.
Definitely,
it's insane.
Definitely the city. Like, they have like an insane, just even in downtown Seattle, like Seattle proper, like has an but like just coffee huts in general are just insane.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
Have you been to the roastery, by the way?
I haven't. I lived in like Portland/Vancouver for like a year and a half, and I never made it to Seattle. So failure on my part.
See, anyway. I actually feel pretty nostalgic about Seattle now, even though I wouldn't want to move there. Like, I'm spilling the tea on Seattle with actually my friend Anna. Yes, I am definitely going to make that video, because I just have so many. And some of them are going to be very controversial, because it has to do about race and sexual orientation. We'll just say that, because I cannot say the right word I was trying to say. It's back to Zebra, the lady. She would get it was either a flat white.
Ugh, I hate flat white people.
No, I like flat whites, but yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's a special type of person. Like, some people are just interesting, very extra about their orders, but this lady, it was either a latte. It was a latte or a flat white. We'll just say flat white, just for whatever. What she would do, it wasn't that weird. Well, it was weird. She would ask for a 2 tall flat whites with 5 packets of raw sugar in each of them. And the milk had to be steamed at 200 degrees. And then yeah, so
you can't have a flat white and then have your milk at 200 degrees. Like,
I know. Well, just in general, the thing about Starbucks is you can steam it at certain degrees, but like the standard is like, I think it's like 160, maybe,
which is
less.
It's still too high. Like, no actual coffee shop that you go to will ever serve you milk at 160 degrees. Anyway, I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, no. I mean, you know the struggle. But she was pretty okay. I don't know where she was from. I forget where she was from. She wasn't from the US, and that doesn't mean anything, but she had this very entitled air about her. And she would come in with her cousin sometimes, and her cousin was pretty nice and stuff. But like Zebra would say, if you didn't make her drink exactly the way she this was the big thing. So she would order it as a venti. She would order it as a venti, which
split
is
into 2 cups.
Yes, which is 20 ounces. And she would ask to split it into 2 tall cups, which are 12 ounces. So this is what the biggest thing was. Well, there was other things as well. So that means that she's not accounting for 2 ounces of coffee or milk or whatever. And so basically she's trying to cheat the system. And if you didn't make it correctly, she would like be like, you didn't make it right. And like she would get really upset. She'd even, if she got in the drive-thru, she would like get an attitude. Like one time she yelled at me in the drive-thru, and I didn't even say anything to her. But like in the drive-thru, we're not supposed to take trash. At Starbucks. You're not, even if it's Starbucks trash, you're not allowed to take trash.
Yeah, it's a health hazard.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, so she would just complain all the time, and then she would be like, I want my beans. And she'd be like, give me my beans. And what she would mean by that is you had to give her 3 coffee beans, just like in this little tiny cup, the little like, what are those called, sample cups. You would put 3 coffee beans in a sample cup for her. She'd be like, but this was the thing, even with new people, like for example myself, she would be like, hey, it's Zebra, like just walk into the store and be like, hey, it's Zebra. And be like, and then she'd just be like, I want my drink. And then it's like these new people, and like myself when I was new, I didn't know what the fuck she was talking about. And she cocked an attitude with me. Like she would cock attitudes with the people, but I ended up getting on her good side eventually. And like I could make her drink correctly, but she ended up getting banned just because of her behavior and because she like insisted that we give her more drinks than
Oh, yes. There are always those people that think that by ordering a venti in 2 tall cups that they can just steal extra stuff, and when you fill it to the actual 10-ounce line, they're like, you're not giving me what I ordered. I'm like, I'm giving you exactly what you ordered.
Oh, I love what Jonas said. Jonas was like, LOL, this fucking Zebra. Yes. Her name sounded like Zebra. It had an A at the end.
Was it Zena?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, she'd be like, hey, it's Zebra. Like, and then her cousin would come. Her cousin would come separately, and her cousin would sometimes just go through the drive-thru and be like, oh my gosh, has Zebra come? Like, has Zebra come? Like, she's being really annoying. Like, she would, if Zebra was in the store while her cousin was in the drive-thru, she would, like, duck her head. Her cousin would duck her head and be like, please don't tell Zebra I'm here. I don't want to talk to her.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so funny. But, yeah. Do you have any stupid, not stupid customers, but like funny customer things you said that are similar?
Not to that degree, no. I mean, that Grande and Venti cup, she was definitely a witch if you did not get her what she ordered, and if it was not an Venti cup, or if it did not have her extra shot, or if it wasn't runny enough, or it had too much ice, or not enough ice, and all this stuff. If it didn't have enough caramel. There was this one guy, it's kind of funny. It's not really like an anecdote. It's just a funny fact about this guy. He would come in every day. He'd be in there all day, sitting in the corner, watching things, which we knew that he was watching porn in the middle of the store, like all day. Like in the corner. He would go to the bathroom sometimes, and we'd all be like, he's been in there a while. And he would just come every day and just buy one coffee, maybe get a refill occasionally, but he would just get one coffee, be there all day. He'd be on his computer the whole time. I think he like claimed to be a writer or something, but he was just this creepy middle-aged guy who was definitely 100% watching porn. I worked at like an airport, not in the airport, but it was like off the highway and by the airport, and it was in like a Walmart parking lot. So you can imagine like our clientele was not as many regulars as it was just like people passing through. So I have feelings about Starbucks and the way that they make their coffee and the way that they wash their machines / just put so many harmful chemicals in everything. And just there are so many better places than Starbucks, guys. Don't be a basic bee. Go other places. Support your local coffee shop, because I bet you they probably have better coffee and they can still make you a Frappuccino. They just don't call it a Frappuccino. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think it is funny. Like, I still go to Starbucks every once in a while. I think Starbucks as a company is a pretty good company, and they do offer a lot of stuff for their especially for their partners. The one thing I have to say, even though it is harmful chemicals, as you know, I mean, I would assume that your store was the same way because of Quaza and stuff, but Starbucks, like if you're ever looking to go to somewhere that is clean, like that has really good standards, Starbucks has some of the best standards for cleaning. I mean, not like saying like the stuff they use, but they really are clean. Like Starbucks has to be clean. So. Oh
yeah, they have like a cleaning ritual that you do every day.
Yes, the clean.
Oh, cleaning behind the refrigerators was my least favorite. I would feel like anybody but me can do that.
I have done that too.
I would wipe I'm a detailed person. Like I like things being like very, very shiny and perfect. So I can do a lot of like really small, detaily things. But the things I hate more than anything are sweeping and mopping. That's my least favorite cleaning at all.
Really?
I'll do dishes all day long. Like you just stick me in the dish pit. I'll just do that. I'll just knock them out, and I'll do that all day. I'd rather do that than have to clean the fridges and stuff.
I actually like when they said, "Oh, Emily, go do the dishes," or like, you know, I would actually volunteer for stuff like that, because it was just like sometimes I just wanted to get away from the floor and not have to interact with people. Like.
And I don't know if this is how your Starbucks was, but I think the real character. I'm just saying.
Wait, what did you say?
The real characters at Starbucks.
Behind the bar?
Yeah,
but people that are working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like at my Starbucks in Georgia, I mean, there's some odd people, but like in Georgia, like my Starbucks there wasn't really too much drama and like in general. But as far as the Starbucks in Seattle, were there some things going on? It was interesting. It was very interesting. And I did not really play a role in that, but I didn't play a role, but I was just like I was just observing people. But there is some, you know, there's some hanky-panky that happens with certain people at Starbucks, or really just any workplace. But I feel like at Starbucks, it's like even more so.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is because of the age demographic of people working there tends to be 20-year-olds, like 20 to 30. And so like people in that generation are for the most part, single and looking for relationships. So where do they go? The worst place that you should ever look for a relationship, your workplace. Because if that ends badly, you just have to keep working with each other. Or, you know, if it turns into one night stand, you still have to work with each other. It's just a concept I never quite understood. There are plenty of other fish in the sea. Look elsewhere.
I know. That's something I was always like weird about. Like at Starbucks, not at Starbucks, but I have dated a coworker before. Not from Starbucks, but like, and from that experience, I definitely would not say that that's a good idea. This was also in Seattle, but yeah, it wasn't at the Starbucks. It was at like when I worked at the other company I worked for. Not a good idea. Would not recommend that. Don't do that. But yeah, people are really like, it's so weird. It's almost like they are looking for relationships at Starbucks. Like it's really strange, some of the people. And this one guy that I worked with at Starbucks, he was in a relationship and he still did things with coworkers.
Yeah, so. My friend, my poor friend dated someone like that, and I'm just like my friend, INTJ, and she could be like the most quick to discern about people, and yet she dates this like guy who like at 11 o'clock at night starts messaging me, asking me to hang out at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just like, no.
What the heck? That's so weird.
She's my best friend. You think I'm just going to hang out with her boyfriend alone in the middle of the night? No.
That's so weird.
And I know he cheated on her. And actually, they met at Starbucks. We all met at Starbucks. And I hated him. And she became friends with us at the same time. And I'm just like, why? What do you see in him? He's just like a jerk. But, you know. Sadly. Well, you know, actually, they've grown, but they're still together. I don't agree.
Really?
Yeah, I don't agree with it. But, you know, once people have made up their mind, they've made up their mind. But they also have a kid together, so, you know, that makes it complicated.
Wow.
But yeah, he was a creeper. Well, he's better now. I do think he's really grown a lot since they've been dating, but I just wish I wish she like had valued herself more to not be in that relationship.
Yeah. It is sad like seeing friends go for people that you're like you could do so much better.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I've had friends where I just kind of have told them, "Hey, like, what are you doing?" but not everybody will listen to that.
Yeah, especially people with FI. Like,
sorry, my mom just gave me pizza.
Oh, no worries. That's sweet. Hi, Henry. Little cutie.
Oh my gosh. He's funny. But yeah. All right. Well, what else would you like to talk about, or do you think we should end it here?
I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions? Oh, I
think I see questions, but I think they're kind of talking back and forth to one another.
Yeah, and I just totally eating pizza too. Yum. I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm
lactose intolerant as well, but I still eat cheese.
I do sometimes, but I have to be so careful because when people have IBS, question if they have an intolerance to some kind of food, because 9 times out of 10 they probably have an intolerance. Yeah. That's a good question, Jonas. Ridiculous things that people have tricked me into doing or believing a lot because I'm very gullible. Let's see. an actual example, though. I can't think of an example. I'm sorry. I'm bad at that. I'm bad at coming up with examples. I thought we talked about this, Jonas. I don't believe in truth. My channel is about, I mean, there's a lot of ENFP videos. One that I'm really proud of is how to, oh, hold on, let me look up the title. I can't think of it off the top of my head. It was like a satirical video that I did. I would edit it at the time, but hold on. I know what it's called. I just don't know what it's called because it's older. Oh, how to avoid conflict. That is my favorite video that I made.
Ooh, I don't think I've watched that one.
It's an ENFP guide of how to avoid conflict. So you can only imagine where that's gonna go. Because ENFPs are like the queens of avoiding conflict at all costs. I like that kind of style.
Yeah, you, yes, yeah, Jeffrey and Mark were saying that they love your voice.
Thanks, guys. That song that I posted is like old. It's like from 2 years ago. But I made a video about like friends or whatever. And then I mentioned that I made this song, and then somebody was like, just post it, like blah, 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 blah. So I did. I don't like it because like the sound quality is terrible, and you just hear the buzzing of the guitar and like the blown out sound because I was using my computer speakers book that cost $150. So it's not the best. But I mean, I like the idea behind the song. But also like when what's his nose? You had him on the channel the other day. He's an INFJ. He's from Panama, or no, not Panama. Paraguay,
Oh, are you
Panama?
talking about
Andrew?
Yeah.
Hearing how he can play guitar just made me like want to give up.
Really?
I think it's something to do with like I mean not SI. I think it's something to do with like the FESE. You guys are very effective of like affecting emotions with external things such as sound. And it's something that like my boyfriend, that's like what he wants to do with his music is like, even when he's playing likes, his favorite part is how he can like affect people's emotions with he plays drums or wings. And I felt like that same kind of thing with Andrew when he was playing guitar. There was a lot of emotional affect in it in a way that like my music will never probably have, because of, like my music is much more like I want you to focus on only the lyrics, and I don't want you to be distracted from the lyrics. And also, I'm not as creative with the guitar and stuff like that.
What if we talk about limiting beliefs, though?
You're right.
Michelle,
you're right.
You're putting your foot in your mouth.
I just did. I redact. I just need a lot more practice, just like with everything else. So
Yes. You can do it. You can do it, Michelle. You can do it.
Just do it. Channel your inner Shia.
Just do. I'm just
do it. Dude, I love Shia. Like that video was just so inspiring to me in such a profound way, and he was just screaming "do it" over and over again. But it was nice.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny. Well, I think I'm gonna call it a night because I'm gonna eat this pizza.
Yeah, my burger's cold.
Oh yeah, and this pizza's cold too because my mom put it in the oven. It was leftover pizza, but yeah. Well,
but I guess I just want to say thanks everyone for watching and participating in this conversation, and letting me come on and talk to you guys. It's been fun.
It's been really fun. I feel like this. I mean, I think it will be informative in the sense, not even the fact that, I mean, we did talk a lot about ENFP stuff, but like there was a lot of stuff that wasn't really focused on ENFP, but just like who you are, your experiences, or like my experiences. And I think it would be interesting for people to kind of look at that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys on another live video, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys should definitely subscribe to her channel. And I think you have a lot of amazing insights, and you need to just not worry about like changing your opinions, because that's something that's really cool and unique about you. Like being able to be so changeable I don't think is always a bad thing. I mean, people see it as a negative thing sometimes, but I don't see it as a negative thing. And I think there's a lot of other people that don't see it that way either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, Mark shared a video with me the other day, which kind of helped me feel a little better about having lead any, which was just Carol Zykowski or whatever her name is. She put it into an interesting perspective. So if you guys ever feel like
that's an interesting video.
Yeah, check her out and her stuff. She's pretty, I think she's an INFJ, if I remember correctly. So,
yeah,
they are, the way they say things, calming and relaxing all the time. But anyway, all right, I'll let us actually go.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
All right.